Hello, I am Bentham and welcome back to Dyson Sphere program, where in the previous episode we started tearing apart our furnace array at the very end. It didn't quite finish, so we'll be continuing with that, but also we got red science underway and we got the first one of those done. We got X-ray cracking research, which hopefully we'll be able to have a bit of fun with today as well, but of course because we've done that we need to queue up some more red science. There's a couple of different ways we can go here. We can either plan ahead a little bit and get some more techs. I'm particularly looking at this one here. The electromagnetic turbine's going to give us a few nicer techs, particularly in terms of logistics. But then also we could go for upgrades. It's worth checking exactly what there is in here, because there are quite a few pretty cheap things that use red science that will, you know, just help us do things a little bit better. It might be nice to get vertical construction, but I think we'll hold off on that for just a moment. Vein utilization would also be nice. Means we get more out of all of our deposits. It uses 6% less ore per product generated, so you'll start making more than one ore per one ore in the ground, and that goes quite a way. And I think eventually, yep, goes infinite. You can just keep stacking it ultimately. Of course, it's going to take way more science later on, but it's good to know that you can do that, because it means that you can almost make the resources infinite. I mean, you're always going to be using some up, but the amount using up is going to get smaller and smaller, and I wonder how the ratio works out of whether you can get like it infinitesimally more or less used, or whatever you want to call it, like get exponentially more ore out of your ore to the point where you can get an infinite amount of ore. I'm not sure. We'll have to see how exactly that works, but that's well in the future. I think for now we might just upgrade the core so that we can get a couple more things with that, because that's only 100 cubes. That's pretty easy. And then we'll also get the faster move speed, because that's very nice. And inventory capacity, how are we looking? We're getting a little bit close to our limit here. You do find as things go on that you just end up with more and more stuff that you want to be carrying around at all times. So we'll queue it up too. I'd quite like to get, you know, another bit of the drive engine, because then we might be able to go into planetary. That'll probably need more of the energy circuit though. You end up needing a lot of the stuff in the tree if you want to do the fancier things. Also, we need the drive engine to continue with that, but we also need purple cubes, and purple cubes are far in the future. They're not even the next color of cube we're going to be making. I think after those three, we will grab this thing, because it is very useful, and it's particularly cheap. A lot of the time, there's some researches that are clearly meant for when you unlock a new type of science. So it's like, here's a bunch of the cubes that you're good at making, and then just a few of the cubes that you've only just started making to help you get going. So that's a good one to get started with early on. And then you get to things where the costs are equal. That one, there's even more red cubes than blue. We'll leave that for now. But I think high efficiency logistics is the other one they want you to go for. They make that one super cheap as well. And then might go for titanium next after that. We'll need crystals as well, actually, to get anywhere. So, yeah, I'll think about it. We've got plenty to be working on there. I'm sure we won't be through with this whole queue by the end of the episode. So that should all be good. Right. So yeah, last episode I started disassembling the furnace assembly, and then realized that actually I didn't need to make as much of a change as I was thinking. I was going to space out the furnaces more to put splitters in the middle. I realized it makes way more sense just to have it skip every now and then and slap a splitter there to make it work better. Now, we don't have the level 2 belts yet, so we'll have to get those unlocked. In fact, now I think about it, let me check the science again. Because this is level 2 belts. Oh yes, they do use the special motors, so we are going to need to unlock those before we can make these things. I was thinking that it might be the level 3 ones that do that, but no. Can't quite get those yet, but when we do, we can make this whole system fast. Not that it needs to be faster right now. It's going absolutely fine as it stands. I think now that we are doing red science, we're only using the stuff for blue when we have enough red. That said, look at that. Everything is actually building up. Maybe I do need the ability to stack labs after all. We've got a better supply of hydrogen than I was expecting. Alright. Good to know. Anyway, furnaces. Yeah, so it's pretty simple. I do have to get rid of this, but I think we can make do with something over there and then something on the other side once we've moved things. So I'm going to clear out all the steel furnaces, and then they're all going to go back in again. It's my own fault, but I've moved most of the system now, so I might as well move the rest. And this is all the same as before. It's pretty simple. Oh, Do I want to do it like that? I like the idea that like the sorters are always lined up. I like that as a system. So I'm trying to keep that consistent. It doesn't actually matter for anything. Oh, there we go. We've got extra core energy. I'm trying to build those, so I'm just going to work around the thing in the middle of the screen. There we go. Get rid of that. And clear you, because I messed that up. And it... Oh, I don't think it's letting us... Yeah, it won't let us connect from the end there. It's too much of a steep angle. It knows it wouldn't work. And then you are all, of course, making steel. And then a power pole on this side should be able to power everything. Yep, nicely done. So it's all just kind of the same as before, but slightly moved up. But also, we've now factored in the little change over there. That means that we can merge in other belts and get us a little bit of extra throughput for when it does matter. Said throughput will have to navigate around all these other belts that are going on, though. And now you can see we are actually using up the whole line, so we do need another line if we want to make full use of things here. Of course, it's got to make up for lost time with all the steel. So right now, this is a full belt thanks to the contributions of both of these miners. This one only half the time, though. Can we stick a miner on this end, or is it not going to let us because of the water? It won't let us because of water. We'll do a little bit of a finagling here. Get as much as we can. That'll do nicely. And let's stick one over here as well. It's a fun game trying to get as many deposits as you can in the range of a single miner. There we go. How many did I do there? 9. 9's a good score. I don't think I've ever managed to get a 10. 9, you're really getting to the limits of what you're capable of. Oh, it's trying to go up, that's why. I was wondering why it was being so weird there. You head down this way. Everything's a little bit weird because we're where the grid all changes around. You go this way, and then I want you to raise up. Hold down shift to stop it trying to lock to the belt that's already there. And actually we want it to raise up again. So you'll be at height 2 if the ground is 0. And you're just going to follow this belt the whole way until this corner. Hold down shift. Oh, hello. Ah, there's a point where a belt goes 3 high over here. Oops. Okay, we'll have it be 3 high and then it will briefly go 4 high. Actually, no. I'm trying to think about the future here. We might have another belt coming over the top in the distant future. That said, many things will probably change. This is a game that's definitely got a lot of tearing down and rebuilding in it, in the sense that you'll tear things down on one planet and build them on a new, dedicated planet elsewhere. But that's very, very far in the future. We haven't even traveled between planets yet. So for now, I'm just going to assume that I'm going to keep expanding this particular facility here. And now we get to actually set this up. This will be the priority. But if there's any need for more iron, it can come from the top belt, at least once the top belt is complete. That's the idea. So, I realize I am getting very much in the way of this copper deposit, but you don't need actually that much copper. I say early in the game, I was going to say early in the game, but honestly, I haven't encountered it yet. In the streamed game I'm doing, where I'm 30 or something hours in at this point, we've still not got to the point where you need large amounts of copper for anything, which is interesting. Wondering if like very late game it comes into play more. Because in Factorio, of course, you need a lot of iron to start with, and then later on, copper slowly takes over as like the dominant, or you need if you really go nuts with like the processes and stuff. There we go. And I wonder if something similar happens here, where like iron's the main thing, star of the show, for like 90% of the game, but towards the very end, when throughput's getting really high, suddenly it starts to be more important. Also, they've now got fast replacing and fast deleting, so I can delete that entire belt in one go. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful feature. I'm very, very happy with it. How are we looking? Iron's looking good. How about steel? Steel isn't looking good. We need even more of it. All right, let's expand this all out then. And now we know we'll be able to support this because the other belt will be around to supplement any needs that we have. Oh, we've run out of smelters though. That's a need that can't help us with. Gonna take us a second to build these. I'm just gonna have every iron smelter coupled with a steel smelter, which maybe isn't the best way to go about it because it means that you could end up with nothing but steel being made when you need iron, but I don't think that'll happen, and if it does, then it's my own fault for not having enough production in general. Extend this all the way. We're looking forward to getting better drones so that... Oh, did this not build? Thought I did that. I'm looking forward to getting better drones so that they can get this done a little bit quicker, and I don't have to wait quite so long for the ability to build the sorters. I do wish you could build sorters without the belts there, but I get why you can't do that. The fact the sorters are inherently connected to belts, and that's because of the whole grid thing. Well, the grid on a sphere thing. The fact that all the different grid positions, like all the grids are slightly different distances from each other, all across the surface of this planet, and indeed every planet. And so it leads to some interesting situations where a gap between two tiles can be very different from between one part of the planet and another. And it's hard to contend with that when it comes to standardized building. So you can't just have a sorter that just drops onto the next tile, because the next tile can be in kind of different places, so the inserter would need to move. You could do it, but I see why they didn't. I hope that they maybe change their mind, because then it means blueprints are easier and that kind of thing. And like placing them without belts, but yeah, it's kind of awkward. Like things are had to be sacrificed in order for the game to work on spheres, and I think that it's worth it for the cool things that you then get to do with planets and Dyson spheres and like actual physics and orbital mechanics and stuff. But it is a shame that it takes away from some of the building stuff, and particularly is going to cause us problems when we want cool features like blueprints, because how do you blueprint something if the grid alignment can be entirely different depending on where on the planet you are? Like, if you've got a build that straddles this line here, how do you resolve that with a blueprint? You can't, unless the blueprint is placed exactly on this dividing line on a different part of the planet. So maybe that could be done, but it limits a lot what you can do with blueprints. It's a shame, and I wish there was a way around it, but I don't think there is. I think we've just gotta grin and bear it, and be happy that we get to do the cool things we get to do with this game. The blueprinting, unfortunately, will have to be left to Factorio, I think. There we go, everything's powered. And the belts are doing their thing. This one's nearly draining before it gets to the end, but then this one is coming in and filling the belt back up. Very nice. I may even actually switch it. That may be the better way of going about it. This belt's running non-stop, and this one has a chance to build up. That way the sorters can grab as soon as they need it. Not that they need to grab instantly, because they've always got a little bit of ore stored for when it's needed. But, I don't know, it looks nicer when it's built up, so there's that. There we go, that's doubled our steel. So we should be looking much better. Oh yeah, it's already building up. Very quickly, filling up back to here, and then the storage can start filling. We'll once again have a stockpile of steel, and we'll be good to go on all the ore fronts. Yeah, there we go, the storage can't even grab the stuff quick enough. Works for me. We're going to supplement our supply a little bit. We did need a tiny bit more. You always need plenty of iron. I always end up running out of this stuff, so I need to have more stockpiled at any one moment. Alright. That's looking good. Everything's looking good. I do have a weird number of foundation, though I think that's because of reasons. I think I've still taken exactly multiples of 100 out of there, so I'm going to stick with that. And there might be some more bits I need to fill in around here where there's some of the other kind of foundation. Let's have a look. Or not, actually. I'm not sure what I've done with this. I've ended up with 7. It's a weird number to have. I'm sure I'll work it out eventually. I did overlap by 10 over here, but that's not right. Can we fill this in? Do we have the soil pile for this? Oh, we do. Awesome. That's one nice thing is, like, general building is going to give you soil pile over time just because every time you build something, it flattens the ground directly below the thing. So that helps out a little bit. Right, let's have a look at our oil here. Now, did we get another thing being pumped? I think we didn't in the end. Yeah, we didn't quite get to that, but I was considering adding more of these machines. That said, as it turns out, we have enough hydrogen. Oh no, it's run down again. Interesting. By perhaps researching certain things at different speeds. I never really checked the stuff, but there is the hashes and how they work, and I never really worked that out or bothered to put too much thought to it. Like, let's find two things that use the same amount of science. Here we go. Use the same amount of hashes as well. So is it always the same? Is it like an exact ratio? Does each kind of cube have a certain number of hashes related? I don't understand these things. It does seem like it. There's a ratio going on here. The numbers make sense. Just never too much worried about it. But I do think that we will put vertical construction in the queue. It's only red sign, so everything else won't have anything to do for a while, but it's just after two things that use lots of blue and not much red, so maybe that'll work out. But I think we do actually need to stack these things higher. Or maybe we can already. I should really check these things, because I do lose track of how high I can stack things. And if we can't use these straight away, we can use them later. We'll just make 6 of these. Yeah, okay, so the current limit is 3, but once we've done that research, we'll be able to raise it to 5. I just noticed some power flickering. Yeah, we're not meeting our demand exactly. We've come to a limit. I have been thinking about this. And as I've been playing on my streamed game, you know, I've been learning more about the game and changing my mind on things, and I do now think that actually graphite power is fine and dandy for the first couple hours of the game, but I don't think you want to hang around on that for very long at all. I think you want to switch to oil, because oil's renewable. It's silly, but that's how it works. It just seems to be the running theme for factory games. They keep making oil infinite. I don't know why, but they do. And so, like, if there's an infinite supply of oil, why not have that be the thing you chuck into the combustion generators? Because those things, they burn anything with a fuel value. And all of the oil stuff has a fuel value. The refined oil, the crude oil, and the hydrogen all have fuel values. You can throw them all into a combustion power array, and they'll all generate power. And the oil stuff, I think, generates better power. Let me just check. Like, 6.3 megajoules, and then, I mean, the comparison between, like, two different units is kind of meaningless in a certain way, but it's nice to see. The refined oil, it's less, actually. Also, it's terrible in the robot's fuel chamber. My understanding is that the fuel chamber generation percentage that you see there is purely for generating power in the mech. So that doesn't actually have any bearing on how it works in combustion power generators. Yeah, it's got less fuel per unit, but it doesn't matter. This is finite, and this isn't. Actually, no. Technically, graphite is infinite too, because you can make graphite purely from oil. And that is actually something I was going to set up anyway. So let's get on with that first. The thing we're going to be doing now is the X-ray cracking. And that turns... well, it's one of those interesting ones. I like these kind of recipes because it's kind of it's always neat how you end up having to put them together. But this takes 2 hydrogen and 1 refined oil, the things that we're already making here out of crude oil. So immediately this is a renewable recipe. We have an infinite supply of this. And it turns it into a little bit more hydrogen and graphite, which is interesting. So you're turning 2 hydrogen into 3 hydrogen, meaning that 2 hydrogen doesn't really do anything. What you're really doing is turning 1 refined oil into 1 hydrogen and 1 graphite, but you need 2 hydrogen as a catalyst for the process. And yeah, this kind of thing has happened before. The coal liquefaction in Factorio, and also Covarex enrichment in Factorio have done the same thing, where you've got to put in some of the... there's something that goes in and comes out, but it comes out in larger quantities, which is quite a neat thing, because then you've got to think about how you put that together, and like how the belts are going to have to like go back into themselves and that kind of thing. So we have what we need for it right here. We've got these 2 things, and I think we'll make a column right next to this one that'll just be in line with it, do all the same things, but be doing that recipe. And it'll mean that we end up with more hydrogen and less refined oil, and we also get some graphite out of it. Now, what I didn't check was the fuel value of hydrogen. And I am curious. 8 megajoules, and it's also a lot better in the mech as well. So there's a lot in hydrogen, and also someone very kindly did a lot of maths in the comments of a recent video where they worked out that X-ray crack. I think it was refining oil definitely gets you more power potential out of it, and cracking oil also gets you more, but only by a tiny bit. So whether you should bother with cracking is debatable, but I think it's worth it, and also we're going to need hydrogen later anyway. I want to make sure we've got enough of that coming in, and then go from there. Like, once again, this has run down, which is interesting. Oh, there we go, more inventory capacity. And now we're onto the stuff that's very cheap in terms of red, so the blue's going to start going nuts. And we are probably going to start building up on hydrogen again, because we won't need the red science that we're making. Okay, so what I'm thinking is, like, the belts are already here, but I don't like to use belts that are already heading by. I know I did that over there with the steel, where, like, they're grabbing off the belt as it goes along, but what I usually like to do is send a belt out to where it's going, but then split it and bring it back to other lines that use it. So it means there's, you know, we're using up more space, but we got a whole planet to work with here. I think we'll be fine. We'll leave a bit of a gap here, and then we'll have 2 belts coming down, and they will literally be the 2 belts that are here, but we'll change things around a bit. So we'll get the there they are. We'll get the oil refineries. We already have some. I think I made 5 more to actually put in this column, and then I never did. Let's just, like, make these both columns of 4 for the moment. We need to get more oil.
Produce multiple products. To divide them, you need
Yeah, we already got there, dude. We already did that with the we did the thing where we hit tab to change the sorter. He keeps forgetting. I think it's because they keep updating the text, and that makes them activate again because they count as new ones or something. Now we actually are gonna have to have these things kind of maneuvering around each other, so that's something to worry about. I think we want is the hydrogen to hop up. Or maybe we want the hydrogen to stay on the ground and the refined oil to hop up. That might be the better way of doing it. I'm going to kind of work this one out on the fly a little bit. Usually I have a build in mind, but with this one it's different than what I did in the stream game, so I'm not really sure how I want to put it together. We're going to explore this one together. I want to put this into a splitter, so I've got to make sure there's enough room for that. Problem is these belts are right next to each other. Unfortunately, that means there's not enough room for splitting, so we'll have to do a bit of a sidestep, I think. Oh, in that case, we don't even need to... Oh, wow, yeah, it's giving me all the tutorials today. We've had that one twice already on this series alone. Yeah, we'll just do a little sidestep back to where you were. And then out of here, we're already 1 level up, so we're not going to get in the way of things. This can come down. Go right into this belt here. No problem. Then there's going to be a little bit more involved with the hydrogen one, because there's a few more factors at play here. Oh, that's the wrong one. Because we've got to do some balancing and some weird stuff with this. I think we actually want 2 splitters right next to each other to make this one happen. Oh, but I've run out. It's a bit of an obnoxious noise it makes, doesn't it, when when you've not got an item. A little bit harsh on the ears. A couple of other people have mentioned that one. Oh, we don't have enough room to shift this belt to the side. Luckily, we can get a bit more space out of this one. We can hop it down 1 tile later. That will give us the room to... Okay, apparently not. Let's try that again. Actually, can we lower it again? I don't think we can. Okay. I thought we had a bit more room than we did, but I think what we're going to have to do is bring the belt this way, keep it at this height, and then drop it down as soon as we can going this way. There we go. We can also decide the priority for this, which I think will be going into there, because right now literally all it's doing is going into storage, and that storage is filling pretty fast. So we'll send it all to be turned into something that we're going to actually use. Right now we can easily sidestep here without any problem. And back onto here. And then we also need this belt going this way. It's going to come from here, and it's going to lead into here. The priority will be that way. I'll explain it all once it's actually underway. And yeah, we'll have a belt running up here, and another belt running up here. We also need to make sure the other belts extend all the way, because I added one extra to these. Alright, and then of course the inputs are simple. We need to get some more of them though. But we've run out of circuits, damn. I'll grab those when I remember. That could be in a while, I will warn you. Gotta wait for the bots to do these. Yeah, I think I need to upgrade the drones. I think I should have put them in the queue. We'll get there. Wonder what's holding us back right now. Is it red or is it blue? Everything is running actually, look at that. All 9 of them are going right now. It's alright. So it's, I mean, I guess nothing's limiting us. Maybe the labs are limiting us at this point, if they're all going. Then over here we got to be a little bit more careful. We got to make sure hydrogen comes out of these. And we've got to make sure that graphite comes out of these. And I like that it gives us like everything that it could be in the options, because I haven't given these a recipe yet, but the right stuff is all on the list, and also refined oil, which we're not producing, but of course it doesn't know what we're going to do. It's just like anything that it could be, we'll put them on the list, so that even though you haven't put the recipe in, you'll still be able to set everything up, which I appreciate. We're going to need some more power poles as well. Get some more of those going. Right, we've got to make sure everything's going to be powered here. Yeah, also try and push it as much as possible. Save on power poles a little bit. It really doesn't matter, but you know, it's a nice game to play. Now the fun thing about this is, it can't start until there's hydrogen in the system, but once there is, it'll just go forever. Let's put the minimum amount we can in. 2 hydrogen. That means that this can start. It's taken a bit of refined oil, and then there we go. It's generated 3 hydrogen, and the graphite. Graphite's not going anywhere right now, we'll sort that out. But because this has priority, it sends all of the hydrogen back, goes back into this one again, so it can run again. This is 1 spare, but now another 3 comes out, goes back in, and now there's enough to run the thing twice. And this is a slow way for it to get started. It would be way quicker if I just dumped a belt full of hydrogen on here. But I always like to mess around with these things in these games. I like to just be like, okay, we're gonna put like, if you've ever done it with like a self-feeding burner miner system in Factorio, where you set one of them off, you put 1 coal in, and then you just watch it slowly propagate down the system, filling up, like, getting one by one, getting all the machines running, making exponentially more coal until finally the system is full and it actually sends out coal. And it takes time to get up to that, but it's fun to watch that process build up. So right now all that's happening is it's cycling around the hydrogen and going back into this one machine, but eventually this machine will be full of hydrogen, we'll move on to the next, and then we'll be going at double the speed. And yeah, this is what I do when I'm not recording and when I'm not streaming, is I just sit here and I watch processes like this happen. I just watch it slowly build up until finally a bit of hydrogen continues onto the next machine. And then the next machine kicks in, and then it's going twice as fast now. So it'll take half the time for this machine to build up before the next one goes. I do actually need to make sure, though, that this graphite goes somewhere. So I also need to make sure that we have belts. Let's make as many of them as we can. We're always going to use these in the end. Why not? But we need this this graphite to get over to the other graphite we have going. Really. So what's the neatest way to go? Probably to like go in line with this belt here, but 1 level higher. Though at the very end, we've got to go a level higher still. And of course, graphite is used in this in the first place, so we could give this the priority. I think the way we'll do it is we'll carry on past this line. So we're going to have a graphite line going past our graphite line, as you do. We will lower this, because then it takes up the same level as is already being taken up here, and it's not going to get in the way of anything in the future, I hope. And then we'll run it into here. And then what we'll do is we'll give this input priority. So now if there's any graphite coming from the oil, it will go straight into the splitter, because this is just kind of an excess product we want to burn, really. I mean, it's also free, so we definitely want to make use of it rather than using up coal to make the stuff, if we can. And, yeah, my patience is wearing thin, so I'm going to go to upgrades, and I'm going to queue up one more construction drone, and the drones move faster. And we can do that again, still with just red cubes. Now we need yellow for levels above that. There we go. That means the system's free to go. There's not going to be any graphite getting in the way. And you can see that the hydrogen supply is getting much better now. In fact, it's already built up at the end of the line. And there we go. This will help use up some of the refined oil we're making. In fact, have we got this as a priority? We do. So yeah, everything that can is going to go this way. Even so, there's still some excess continuing on to this this tank, and we'll eventually fill it, but we can use that for power. I think one more thing we'll do today, well, we'll make sure this is hooked up, even though the oil has now run down. We knew we were already using up more than we were creating, but let's get more oil into the system. Let's get those set up correctly. And the input. This doesn't have power right now, I think, or maybe it just doesn't have a recipe. Okay, yeah, it does have power. So there we go. It would go faster, but we're not making enough oil for that. But I think we can just quickly hook up one extra oil extractor to make sure we're definitely good. We have one spare anyway, because I was getting ready to go put one over on this thing right here. Here we go. Oh, we deployed a bot a little bit too soon, so we got there before it. And then we head out a belt. And we just hook it up directly to what we have over there. Just got to make sure we've got some power for this thing. And there's a power line right there, so easy to connect. That more than doubles our production of crude oil. That means we can work on generating way more oil and oil products than we currently are, and get some power off of that rather than relying on non-renewable graphite anymore. So, you know, we're doing the right thing in that we're getting beyond the burning of solid fuel for our power generation. Oh, apparently we didn't manage to cover this. But then at the same time, we'll use this. At the same time, we're using another polluting substance to generate our power, so it's not that much of an improvement, really. But that means that we'll be built up on crude oil once again. We can extend this if we want, and I believe we will. But that is about all we have time for today. Look at this, the whole thing's saturated with hydrogen now. We actually have too much of the stuff. I need to make a storage tank. I didn't think about that when I set this line up, so there's not really a good spot for it. I suppose we can put it at the end here, like with the refined oil. Well, I gotta make one first. That's important. I don't have any iron plates. There you go. Told you. Always using up the stuff. Grabbed 8 stacks of it, or was it 6 or something like that, and I still use it all up before the episode was even done. But let's put it right here to kind of reflect the one we already have. And then we'll have this run into there in a smart way. And then run out back onto the belt. And there we go, making sure that we can generate a nice stockpile of both fluids. I could even stockpile the oil. I mean, we've got some going spare, but that's not too important. If we got to the point where we're using up all the oil we can on the planet, a stockpile isn't going to make much of a difference for us. We're going to need to expand at that point and go to other planets. I also want to dump the hydrogen back on the belt if I can. I tried to do it the Factorio way. I forgot the system. There we go. And we got plenty of refined oil to chuck back on here. I could hang on to some of the hydrogen because it does actually make good fuel. But the problem is the stack size is tiny. Graphite has a stack size of 100. It charges you slower, but hydrogen only has a stack size of 20, so you got to constantly refuel yourself if you have that. What we really want to do is get ourselves some hydrogen fuel rods. That's the good stuff, because that compresses the hydrogen into canisters that stack very well. You don't actually get any more fuel out of it than you would normally. Like, it uses 5 hydrogen, and each hydrogen makes 8 megajoules, so 40 megajoules is the same amount of power, and it uses titanium. So technically, you're wasting titanium to create this item, and without actually getting any more power out of it, but it charges you twice as fast as hydrogen does, and it stacks way better, so you have to refuel way less often. So I think it's worth it for a tiny bit of titanium. That is, if we have titanium. Currently we don't. We're going to have to go to other worlds for that, and hopefully that will be sooner rather than later, but it is not quite yet. For now, we must be happy with the cool work we're able to do on this one planet here, and I think that it is going quite well. I'm looking forward to getting more science done, which we will now. Okay, not quite now. I forgot that there's extra blue to get through. I was trying to time it well, it didn't work. Now. Close enough. Now we've got better logistics. We can definitely have some fun with that. We've got the larger storages, we got better sorters, and we got the Mark III sorters, in fact. And we've got the Mark II belts, which are going to revolutionize things for us. We'll have to do some work on the bus next episode, methinks. Even though everyone says that it's a bad idea. I am now... This is a new recording session, and so I have now seen all the comments. People generally disapprove. But I feel like people will come around to it. I think it's got some tricks up its sleeve that people haven't considered yet. So, I could be wrong, but there's only one way to find out. But that will be next episode, because that's all we have time for today. So I shall say goodbye, thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.